I call Jan Logie, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And I rise to take a short call in support of the Social Assistance Portability to Cook Islands, Niue and Tokelau Bill. I want to frame most of my speech around an example that was reported in the Herald in 2012 of a Cook Islands born man, Bill Framheim, who's now in his early 70s and has paid tax for 34 years in New Zealand while never being out of work while he was in this country. He served in the New Zealand Army in Malaya and Borneo and served 4 tours of duty in Vietnam as a scout, which is the person who goes up front and finds explosives and mines. Oh. Mr Speaker.
My apologies.
That was an interruption. I didn't like to go there. But this man, after all of that commitment to New Zealand, is not eligible for a war pension or superannuation because he doesn't meet the criteria on 2 bases. One, that he wasn't living in New Zealand, that he's already returned to the Cook Islands. And secondly, that he hasn't lived in New Zealand for 5 full years since the age of 50. So even with the passing of this bill, who's served 4 tours of duty in Vietnam, served in Malaya and Borneo, and paid tax for 34 years, still won't be eligible for the New Zealand superannuation. He got it in 2013, I hear. So how is that, despite not meeting the criteria? I'd welcome to hear that, and I look forward to that discussion in Select Committee because I found his example really moving, and that the media reporting of it around how it wasn't possible to break the rules for one person, and how he'd been coming back to New Zealand for every 6 months and every year despite having deep vein thrombosis, and it being quite risky for his life to be actually doing all that travel. So just to be able to try and meet the criteria. And he made the point in that situation, and this does apply to everyone that this legislation will apply to, is that he was saying he wasn't angry, just a bit sad, because it hurt him to realise that he was no longer treated like a New Zealander, because he thought a Cook Islander was a New Zealander. And that when he'd signed up for national service, accepting the fact that he owed a duty, that duty as a New Zealander, for him to now treat him as a refugee was hard. And that does seem to hold quite a deep truth in it in terms of the relationship New Zealand has had with the realm countries over the last successive decades or generations, and that those people from the Cooks and Niue and Tokelau who felt and feel as New Zealanders were called upon as New Zealanders to act, and yet the basic entitlements that we all consider come with our citizenship so many conditions were put on those that they weren't able to access them despite the commitments they had made to this country. And I do just want to touch on, thank you, Mr. Speaker, this time I get it, that some of the benefits of this scheme of being able to encourage people to get back home at an age of 55 where there's still plenty of life left and skill to be able to contribute to countries, and just to give some people and I think that will really help stimulate the economies in the Niue, to give an example, where the population is estimated to be now down to about 1,500 people. And most of the economy is reliant on remittances and aid from New Zealand. So to be able to enable people to go home and actually participate in the economy will be of benefit. I just hope it doesn't result in a reduction in aid from New Zealand. We support this bill.